There's too much admin, never-ending initiatives, more and more figures to analyse. Just some of the common complaints in schools. Teachers, it would seem, are sinking beneath a deluge of paperwork. According to some reports, the problem is so serious that teachers are leaving the profession because of the burden of bureaucracy. But you don't hear any of these grumbles at this primary.
So what you're saying is your job's getting easier?
It definitely is, yeah.
So why is everyone griping about all the extra work they've got to do?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
And at this secondary, there's not so much as a post-it note to be seen in front of this head teacher.
Is your desk always as empty as this?
Yes.
Why?
Because this is how I like it to be.
In this programme, we'll be discovering how two schools have helped teachers and in turn improve teaching and learning by clearing up the clutter of administration and dealing with the bother of bureaucracy. Their approach is similar and simple. If there's a lot of administration, then bring in administrators to do it.
I'm trained to do the job that I do. I have an MBA, I have my degree, I'm business background. I'm able to take all of those burdens from teachers who ultimately trained to be teachers, not to be administrators.
The schools are also taking a radical approach to leadership, ensuring that the head teachers remain as educators rather than full-time administrators.
The amount of stuff which comes across my desk is too much for any one person to deal with. There has to be other people in the school who have the skills and the expertise to actually take on some of those roles.
The NASUWT carried out a workload audit in 2008. It concluded that despite the national agreement for a concerted attack on unnecessary paperwork and bureaucratic process, teachers were still getting bogged down in a mire of administration. The most common tasks were classroom displays, filing, analysing figures, typing and photocopying. The union also identified the factors generating excessive work. At the top were lesson planning, teacher assessment system and inspection. The schools we're featuring were already recognising some of these problems and making a big difference to the lives of their teachers. At Westwood College, in Leek in Staffordshire, there's a ratio of one support worker for every 2 teachers. The support team leadership meets once a week.
Hello, my name's Malcolm Clues, I'm the site manager.
I'm Ruth Quip, I'm the finance manager.
I'm Julie Buxton, the office manager.
I'm Clarissa Williams, school business director.
I look after everything that does not involve the teachers. So anything that has been removed from teachers, such as examinations, policies, procedures, obviously with their input where required, finances, site management, grounds, IT, all of that comes under my side of management, my teams. The whole point of my role is to take away the bureaucracy from the head teacher and from the teachers so that they're able to focus on the core purpose of teaching and learning.
There isn't anybody that I would say I didn't want to work for or with, because before I was the head secretary I used to do a lot of the admin tasks for different departments as well, and that was interesting and you greatly appreciate it. There's no divide, we're all a team, we're all here, the aim of the students.
I did go on a project about 6 years ago called A Learning Edge, where about 6 schools in the area all met, and we found out actually that Westwood was very modern in the way they thought, because we didn't have any differences between support and teaching staff, whereas other schools didn't sit in the same staff rooms and that sort of thing. We've never had that problem.
We do within the school. We hope it makes it easier for the teaching environment. Examples would be by moving the tables, by moving the chairs, by setting things up for the teachers so that all they've got to do is go in and do the teaching. So that we're doing all the peripheral things, if you like.
Please, on the access building works that we've got going on.
We've now had the water tests and the hygiene tests.
They all came back clear.
And all that's fine now.
Is there a cleaning rota in place for that?
Yes, it should have been built into the new cleaning schedule that we put together. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you very much.
Where are we up to, Malcolm, with getting the whole school asbestos register updated?
The register is being updated next week.
Looking on is the first head teacher, Miss E.E. Sousmere. She reigned in the 1920s and 30s and would no doubt be startled by the pace of change at the school, especially since the appointment of Keith Hollins as head teacher in 2004. He took over with a zero tolerance of clutter and disorder, but didn't want to spend all his time sorting and organising.
It's my view that and it was when I became the head and I was the deputy here before, that the head teacher of any school does a lot of tasks that A, they're not trained to do, and B, don't need to do, and C, in doing A and B, it takes you away from your core purpose, which is to produce better outcomes for students, which necessarily involves more learning. And you cannot be in classrooms observing lessons if you are meeting the builder, meeting an accountant and writing a policy. I had the view that there should be a certain model and that you would have a business manager who's a member of the senior leadership team. And one aspect of good leadership is being able to determine who should be in which job, giving them that job and then letting them get on with it.
This is the nerve centre of the systems and procedures and the structures that I have in place on the non-teaching, the support staff side at the college. Before I came to Westwood, I worked as a project officer for the local authority. I worked with the private sector and I had finance background as well, and project management and team and site management. The more that I can remove and my teams can remove from the teaching staff and from the head means that they can focus and get back in making sure that the students are getting the best possible education whilst they're here with us. I think I had a desire to work in a school, I had a desire to make a difference, and actually personally I was looking at completing a PGCE and going back in and making a difference within the education of young people as a teacher. However, a stroke of luck or chance drew me into an administrative role within the school. That role has grown. It became from admin officer into school business manager and now into school business director.
While the leadership team is freed from the bigger business, all teachers are given support on the smaller but nonetheless important day-to-day tasks. Sally Hansel was being swamped by after-lesson admin because of her responsibilities as a head of drama and a senior learning mentor, as well as her extra work organising school productions and an annual music festival called Westfest.
This is the filing. Student reports, Westfest, data analysis, careers interview, letters, parent contact list, your student records for absences. And this is what's for going for printing.
Before we had the kind of support that we have now, it was a real push to complete all the letter writing, filing, all the things that Andrea does to help me out now were occupying too much of my time. And the amount of frustration and weariness that produced became impossible to manage. Now I can focus entirely on what I want to do and what I need to do, and I know that I've got the backup and the support that I need from her.
Do you like your work?
Yes, it gives me an insight into the full workings of the school and also a little bit of the students' life, because with being the support staff I don't get to have any personal dealings with the students, so it's nice to think that I'm learning a bit more about the actual what goes on in the school rather than just admin.
Does it make a difference that it is a school rather than, say, an office, local government, something like that?
It's nice to feel that you make a contribution to the students' well-being whilst they're at school. After all, school is a huge part of their lives, so we try and make it as good an experience as possible.
Can you believe that some teachers claim they've left the profession because of the amount of paperwork?
I can believe it if a school isn't sort of sorting it out the way that we have. We're leading the way in setting these practices in motion, and I think there are some schools where it's still not happening. Here, we have this incredible team of support staff, and when I go to Inset and I tell other people about it, they can't believe it.
Westwood College followed its administrative initiatives by appointing a new head teacher, one free from the red tape of bureaucracy and strategy to concentrate even more on the success of pupils. At least once a week he meets his predecessor, who's now the executive head teacher. The executive role also covers a partner school in a neighbouring town, and at the moment he's also looking after a third secondary which he's helping to turn round.
I'm in a very fortunate position in that some of the aspects of the role of head teacher that I would have to get involved in normally, I don't have to do. And I'm able to focus on what I think is the core purpose, which is teaching and learning.
We have a certain number of functions we have to fulfil. We would have to do them whether we had 6 head teachers or 1. In this system, as Ian just said, Ian is enabled to focus on what actually should be the core purpose of all heads, whilst I do the other things without which teaching and learning would not improve. For example, getting grants in, therefore improving our income, planning the budget.
Can I add a little bit to that? Head teachers need to take a wider view. At the same time, if you're going to improve what goes on in the college, you've almost got to have a tunnel vision as well. One person attempting to do both those roles is very difficult. Keith can take the wider view. He seeks out new strategies and new relationships and introduces us to new schools, which allows us to learn from practice outside of this college.
Leadership is also shared at this school in Cambridgeshire, although here almost everyone gets involved. The Alderman Jacobs Primary in Whittlesea is bigger than most. This is just over half of the school. More than 600 pupils may be a lot to administer as well as teach, but it also means there are more members of staff to take on the workload. By delegating responsibilities and sharing duties, everyone is given a part in running the school. We followed the head teacher on one of her regular tours of the classrooms.
So tell me about your style of leadership, Margaret. What's it all about? You talked about distributive leadership.
Yes, distributed leadership. I'm trying to empower everybody else to do my job, basically. What we try to do here in school is to develop leadership in a whole range of people, and partly it's to do with succession planning, but partly it's to give those people the skills of actually having a leadership role and developing themselves.
But aren't you putting extra burdens on your staff by saying, come and help me do my job?
No, I don't think I am. I think I'm giving them responsibility, and I think I'm giving them a development lesson, really, as it were, so that they're growing and they will apply for promoted posts, sometimes inside the school, sometimes outside the school.
A major move in taking responsibility away from the head's office was the creation of the Change Team, a committee of governors, parents and teachers. It works rather like a royal commission, examining different issues or problems and recommending new policies and solutions. Its role has also expanded into evaluation.
Number of TAs who've actually been attending professional development in this term, or this year in fact, they came out strongest. They really seem to have increased in their confidence, and I think that was a really good sign.
I think it's important that responsibilities are delegated and that information is then passed on to where it needs to go. I'm the deputy, so obviously I then feed back to the leadership team. But it's really important that we do share the leadership in the school and that responsibilities are then passed to people. So I think we feel it's a really important job, and we talk generally about observations. We don't talk about specific people.
Event organisation is one of the many tasks that's moved away from the head's office to the staff room. In this case, the teacher and her assistant have sole responsibility for making a success of a joint school concert.
I've asked my class if they'll provide us with another dance, so we'll provide 3, so the numbers are still the same.
OK, and we've got enough time to prepare for that?
Yeah.
OK.
The other schools have suggested we do a dance from each school. We go through them in order so that we don't do all of Alderman Jacobs first, because we're worried Alderman Jacobs' parents might leave halfway through.
That's right.
But do you feel it's actually a benefit to you or a bit of a nuisance?
No, a benefit. It's definitely been a benefit, yeah.
Why?
because it's given me the responsibility of having to go in independently, doing things myself, and working with the other schools and getting to know the heads and the PE leaders.
And the coordination, isn't it, with the other schools and tying in with them as well was very important.
How does that help you as a TA?
Well, obviously I get to know other schools and you talk to other TAs that are involved as well. And you also see what the local schools are doing as well, the other dances that they're doing and how similar they are to ours.
So was this a deliberate strategy on which you embarked?
Yeah. Yes and no. Leadership in a school cannot be done by one person alone these days. Leadership is a shared responsibility, which also means that I have more time to concentrate on teaching and learning. Hello, I'm just calling in to see how everybody is.
The leadership distribution would not have been possible without an expansion in administration and a greater use of IT. Teachers are provided with programmes to support their teaching and reduce their preparation time.
So this is making your life easier?
The programme is, yes. And the smartboard, and obviously the children having the chance to work alongside with me. As I'm doing things, they can be doing it at the same time. So it's not me teaching, then them working. We're teaching and working at the same time.
So what you're saying is your job's getting easier?
It definitely is, yeah.
So why is everyone griping about all the extra work they've got to do?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. With the right technology, programmes and resources, life's a lot easier.
And more enjoyable?
Definitely more enjoyable for me and the children.
Lesson plans for English and maths are prepared in advance for teachers, while report writing is made simple with the help of a programme adapted by the school.
Last year we spent a great deal of time writing the new plans. Then during this year, as the lessons come round, we just open up what we did last year, we go through and we edit and we change it in order to adapt it for the new children that we've got and to improve on anything that didn't work last year or spend more time on anything that needs it this year.
Well, the report writing this year has been adapted after we had a working party committee on the report writing, and we now have a template. We have the attendance and lates and things like that already inputted in. So we have to put in a personalised comment for English, maths and science, and then we give effort and achievement grades for all of those areas and for the foundation subjects.
Do you find you have more time to devote to your pupils as a result of this system?
Yeah, it makes a massive difference. We get most of our planning done within our PPA time, which makes a huge difference because you can spend each evening marking and adjusting and editing the planning in order to make it work for the children.
Do you find that this is quite a big burden taken off your shoulders?
A massive burden has been lifted from us. Before, with the previous system, the reports were sometimes up to 10 pages long on A4, where we had to write a comment for each individual foundation subject, and we found that with the best will in the world and with the most hard-working teachers, we did tend to write very similar comments for each of the children in our class because the workload was just massive.
I think being in a big school is a huge benefit for us, and I think that people in smaller schools do have more that they have to do by themselves, which is really hard. But there's no reason why we shouldn't share what we're doing and talk to other people. I know that there are network meetings and county council meetings that subject leaders go to, and I think we should share our plans there. There's also lots of information on the standard sites and on various different websites that you can get that can help with it, and it's worth sharing. I don't think we should keep it to ourselves.
The office staff hasn't increased in number, but all their jobs are now full-time. And the school is being extended to provide extra space for the leadership and administration teams. Checking on the project's progress is one of the jobs given to the school business manager.
We've got all the framework in now for the external part of the extension, with a view to then, with the summer holidays coming up, start to break through to the main part of the school.
Yes.
So we're doing that whilst the children are away on holiday.
Are we expecting to be finished by the end of the school holidays?
Yes, I'm speaking to the architect. We were looking to aim for the last week in August
to
have it all complete so you can move furniture in.
Brilliant.
So this is your growing empire, is it?
It's our growing empire, yes.
And what will you be doing out of these new offices that you're getting?
I'm actually studying for my school business manager qualification with the National College of School Leadership. and school business managers in school, primary schools especially, are quite a new thing. I've been here 11 years now, and the administration team has grown. Nobody did as many hours as we do now, and I think I started on 30 hours. Ling right next door, I think she was on 20. So the administration team has grown, and the work that we actually carry out has grown as well.
There's one other way in which teachers are spared the burden of dealing with paperwork. All documents that come in from any organisation or authority are vetted by the head teacher. It's one piece of red tape she won't let go.
Part of my role is to protect the teachers from too much bureaucracy, and everything we do in school, I try to address that. For instance, a lot of stuff goes in my bin, which teachers really can continue their teaching without ever seeing.
So, for example?
For example, could be health and safety. It's very valuable what actually comes into school, but I don't think that my staff need to read absolutely everything. If I actually go through what comes in, I can summarise, I can actually share that in a staff meeting with them without adding an additional burden to their workload by making them read everything themselves.
But there must be a reason why someone thinks they should. It could be valuable.
It could be valuable, but I think I'm perfectly capable of going through and disseminating that myself and picking out the salient points for the staff. It saves the staff time, but the same points are made to them.
Back in Staffordshire, Westwood College has recognised that smaller schools in its district may struggle with the demands of administration. The college has formed a cluster with 4 first schools and a junior high school, and has offered direct help with budgets and bureaucracy. Today, the Westwood Business Director is calling on St Edward's Church of England First School in nearby Cheddleton.
No, grey areas at all. It was a clear pass, and we can look at those now, can't we? Yes. And make sure that that's all embedded, ready over the next 3 years.
That's right.
Before the FMSIS reassessment comes through, so we've got plenty of time to work through that. Yeah. Well, there's been many key focuses. For many of the schools in the last few terms, it's been the FMSIS assessment. That's been a big thing, and supporting the key...
What does that mean to a layperson?
To a layperson, that's the financial management standards in schools, and all schools have to pass a strict assessment and provide evidence that they are financially sound and that other practices are sound and robust. And that's exactly what we're reviewing here, that's come back as a wonderful pass because of the work that's already been done.
The support that Clarissa was able to give me, I found invaluable. You're a bit alone in the smaller schools. There's usually one office person, and you have to be master of lots of things, not focus on one area of expertise. And Clarissa was able to liaise with me and just tie up some of the documentation that perhaps wasn't as tight as it should be, but rather than me have to go back to basics and write stuff up from nothing, Clarissa could send stuff through that I could then use as a guideline.
Westwood College also looks after all the school sites and organises outside contractors. At St Edward's, the help allows the head teacher to get out of the office into the classroom.
He had friends, he's gone out and played really late, and when he came back his mum was looking for him, and his mum got really mad at him and he told him he can't go out ever again.
You're thinking about what might have happened before the book, before the story kicks in. That's really clever. It has started to have a big impact on how I think about my timetable as a head. My core purpose is to cater for the learning and teaching of the children and the staff in the school, not to be in an office tied to paperwork. And so, yes, I can actually see the whole support that we've had from Westwood actually rolling out and improving all the time, so that my focus is back to where I want it to be.
So your job's more rewarding as well, then?
Oh, definitely. It means that I'm more visible to the children, to the staff, and I'm actually getting more involved in the learning and teaching in the classrooms.
Westwood College doesn't charge for the expertise it provides to the other schools. Instead, the reward comes from an intake of pupils with higher standards.
It's about enabling the primary heads to get into their classrooms. It's about making their lives that little bit saner. It's about putting expertise from site managers and business directors into those schools, because if it applies to me, it applies to them. But I have a senior leadership team of 11 people in a first school, they'll have 3. So we've got the resource, and it isn't about my school or his school or her school, it's about outcomes for youngsters.
How easy is it for a school to set up this sort of support system?
I've been asked that question. Some people say because this college doesn't have a budget deficit, neither does it anymore run a large surplus, that it can only be that you've got a lot of money. Now, I don't agree with that at all. I think it's a matter of having the imagination to do it and having the will to want to do it, and very crucially having the backing of your governors in establishing it.
The DCFS launched a 5-year programme of red tape cutting in 2005. The department says in its simplification plan, we are putting a great deal of effort into reducing unnecessary or avoidable bureaucracy through simplification, streamlining and the removal of requirements. The NASUWT, however, believes even greater effort is needed. We spoke to the union representative at the Alderman Jacobs School.
The NASUWT believe that with the raft of government initiatives that are continually coming through, that there's just too much paperwork to be undertaken in addition to the teaching day to day.
There's clearly not an issue at this school though, so why is that?
No, I think we do have good leadership from the head and the leadership team, and we do try and share the workload, so we work together in our planning. There's a lot of filtering of information that comes through so that teachers at a working level only have to deal with the issues that have to be the ultimately important ones that have to be dealt with. And so we work well as a team to overcome that. And the use of ICT as well to support that.
So is the problem not the amount of paperwork, but the way it's dealt with?
It could be seen in that light. It certainly works that way in this school. Teachers aren't leaving because they're feeling overly burdened with paperwork.
The schools we've visited for this programme have received support from the National College for Leadership of Schools and Children's Services. Westwood College and its cluster schools are part of a demonstration project to show how smaller schools can benefit from improved administration and how business managers can work across a cluster. Paperwork and administration will undoubtedly continue to be an element of a school's workload. But as some schools are showing, teachers don't have to be weighed down by it all, by introducing procedures to spread the work and putting in place support to help take the strain.